Welcome once again to the So Weird podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Emily.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Kat.
We're doing a Halloween special tonight.
Yeah.
We just haven't talked to the fans in a while. I haven't made an episode in a while, but finally it's like the first time that So Weird has been available to stream while Halloween season is going on. So kind of a big deal for fans.
Yeah. And So Weird was included in the Halloween collection on Disney Plus, so that's another exciting thing. People are noticing the show a little more. So yeah, we have something to celebrate, definitely.
And as somebody who has spent Halloweens rewatching So Weird in the past, I can highly recommend. It is an awesome way to spend your holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of owe Halloween for me to rediscovering the show because I started rewatching it and reviewing it for my Halloween Horror Fest blogathon, which is currently ongoing at zaxfilmthoughts.blogspot.com for anybody who would like to click on that. So the show and the holiday are intrinsically linked, even though there's only one explicitly Halloween episode and it's not very good.
Yeah. But also, back in the day when the show was airing, they did have So Weird marathons around Halloween. You can find some evidence of this on YouTube. There was like a Wicked Weekend back-to-back during October. And I know they also had a marathon where they marathoned the top 10 episodes with the top 10 villains of So Weird. But we could never find out which one was number one. I've never found a video of that online. But yeah, so... the show is, there's a lot of love for, I guess there's a lot of history with So Weird and Halloween.
Yeah.
Definitely, it being a supernatural, scary kids show. Even though I kind of think it's not that scary. Like, I was trying to think, I was like, wait, there's not that many villains in the show.
Yeah, I was struggling with thinking of what my answers would be for the questions we asked. And I'm like, okay, is anything really that scary? But yeah, it's good. It's good for kids.
Creepy, spooky, those are the adjectives I would use to describe So Weird before I said scary.
Yeah. Okay, so basically we have some questions we're just going to go through, and making this a fan interactive episode, we had some fans join in and talk about, what they think is scary, what their creepiest scenes are, and it's just going to be fun and all. So the first question is, what is the scariest episode for you guys? So yeah, I was thinking, I don't know. I think there's like scary scenes, but all together episodes they're not. But I just went with werewolf because I think throughout it's kind of like building up to like mystery, like what's really going on here, and then you have that scene with the werewolf chasing everybody and Carrie's in the bus, and I felt scared for him when I first saw that episode. So that's the one that I went with.
Yeah, I think my favorite So Weird scary moment is when Fee lets out that scream as they're trying to get into the bus. Like, that feels like horror.
Yeah, the POV shots in Werewolf are probably the closest So Weird ever got to being scary, like horror movie scary. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, for me personally, I think the creepiest/scariest episode for me is probably Dead Ringer because it's so psychological, and I feel like I connect with it on a personal level, but just because I always hear sounds and I'm like so paranoid somebody's breaking in, and it's scarier now that I don't have a cat knocking shit off the table every so often.
I could have sworn that came from in here. Now I'm starting to hear things. Okay, I'll do my schoolwork tomorrow.
Yeah, I was going to mention Dead Ringer too, actually, Melissa, because, like you all were saying, I don't really consider any of these episodes scary now. I was thinking, more as like a young child. I definitely had a scary episode that I'll talk about later. But yeah, watching Dead Ringer recently, I'd never seen it before, and I was surprised by how scary it was. Being at home at night with someone, haunting you, and just causing all kinds of mayhem in your house, and you're the only one there, and the phone ringing that's not supposed to be ringing. I thought it was pretty creepy. Yeah.
I have an unpopular opinion with this, but I still think Fall is the scariest episode. It scared the crap out of me and gave me nightmares as a kid, just for the whole concept of Ned's childhood friends is coming back as a ghost and wants Ned dead too.
If he loved him, why'd he leave him hanging there to die?
Because I was afraid! I was afraid I'd fall too. I didn't want to die.
Like, what the hell kind of friend are you that you're not saying, like, oh, don't warn me, it wasn't your fault, but, like, bitch, I'm gonna kill you too. Like, that's terrifying. But
yeah, I definitely agree.
I feel like I'm in a minority with that one. So as my close second, I'm also saying Strange Geometry, because those graphics of the faces coming through the walls, Fee running down the hallway with all of those faces like popping out at her, like that is creepy. So weird.
Oh yeah, that actually, I had that scene as one of my two creepiest scenes.
Strange Geometry is a creepy one too. Yeah, that was actually the first thing I thought of before I remembered werewolf.
So I mentioned this when we discussed Angel, but Angel was the only episode I could think of that actually kind of kept me up at night because of the guy, the Angel, the scene where Fee gets the call and he's like, he says, "You're the one," and she looks out the window and he's there, because I would stay up at night, and if I woke up in the middle of the night, I would be too afraid to look at the window because I'd be afraid that dude would be staring through the window at me. So I have to say, like, if I'm thinking back to myself as a kid and how I would feel about these episodes as a kid, Angel is still the scariest episode for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now, not so much. I've watched it so many times, obviously it doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
I think Creepiest Scenes is kind of easier to think because there's like at least one or two scenes maybe in almost every episode that's a little creepy. So for that, I'm trying to think of back then, the stuff that really creeped me out as like a 6-7-year-old. One is the first episode, Family Reunion, where Fee's looking at, like, the old pictures and then the little boy's head moves. I remember getting freaked out when I saw that.
When I was rewatching the show for the first time, I think that scene actually kept me up at night, and I was like 23, so.
Yeah.
That was in all the promos when the show was getting ready to premiere. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I'm sure you remember that. You guys remember everything about the show.
And then the next one for me, so when I was a kid, aliens was like the number one thing that creeped me out. Any type of alien, UFO, whatever. So when I was little, my older siblings would watch the show, and I would just kind of peek in. But they were, I think, watching Roswell, and at the very end where the aliens come with, and then their fingers like touch Fee's face.
Yeah.
That was so scary because I was just, oh my God, if that happened to me, I was already afraid of aliens and like being in bed, thinking I was safe in my bed, and then them coming. That was really creepy to me. So that scene is like up there for 6-7-year-old me.
Yeah.
Well, for me, Strange Geometry does have, I think, one of the creepiest moments in the show, and it's a little moment. It's a specific shot where Fiona is facing towards the camera, and over her shoulder, we see the words start to appear on the mirror behind her. Like that's a spooky scene. And then the second thing I thought of was also in Family Reunion, but the sequence where the ghost boy appears to her in the hallway. and he's all drippy, and she drops her big gulp there. So those are kind of the two scenes that I thought of as pretty spooky, guys. So
Yeah, for me, my two, the one Emily was talking about in Angel, where the angel guy just calls her up, being like, "You're the one," and then appears to her, and then she looks down at her hand and sees her hand in X-ray vision.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that kind of creeps me out to this day, actually. And then in Strange Geometry, where he is following the blueprints and running through the hallway, and all the faces are like stretching out of the wall. It's eerie.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess I already talked about Angel. That's that scene in Angel. That's definitely one of the creepiest ones for me. I was also going to mention the laptop scene in Family Reunion, Kathy, on rewatch. That was one that got me and made me jump and creeped me out a little bit. But I guess if I was going to, just for the sake of being a little different, I'll pick a third one, which has to do with Boo. So we talked about, or we haven't really talked about, but on the Boo episode, we don't particularly like that episode as a group, I feel like. But the one part of the episode that I did like was Fee's monologue at the beginning. It starts off, you just see that there's like the trees, and then the shot starts to back away from the trees, and you realize that she is giving this monologue from the grave. And then at the end, it ends with the dirt and landing on her, and she's basically buried alive, which I didn't remember that happening. And then on rewatch, I was like, whoa, this is pretty messed up. So I got to give props to that scene from Boo for being one of the creepiest parts of the show.
I definitely agree with Kathy about that scene from Family Reunion, because that was the perfect jump scare that always gets me without fail. My second choice is that scene from Strange Geometry where Fee is watching on the laptop the footage of Patterson, and he goes, "They think they own me, but they don't own me. Do they own you?" Because as a little kid, seeing that in black and white, I thought that was real, and it scared the absolute shit out of me. And then, just because we've already talked about that scene in Family Reunion, I'm also going to add in that clip from Tulpa where Fee gets dragged by that swing set where the chain wraps around her legs and starts to pull her back. I will never forget 6-year-old me having nightmares about that episode.
It's a good one, too. Well, Jimmy's not on tonight, and we hadn't mentioned what he wanted to say. Well, we'll talk about his answers to each question as we go along, but we forgot to do it for the first part. So, so Jimmy, he said his scariest episode was actually Grave Mistake. He said it creeped him out because of the idea of wishing to be older and suddenly waking up on the brink of old age meets death. He thought it was so frightening, and he really liked Alex's acting in that episode, and her breathing long, exasperated breaths only made his anxiety worse throughout the entire episode. I love it that it brings anxiety for old age for me. So we didn't mention that episode, did we?
No, that's a good one.
Yeah. And then he did mention Dead Ringer as another really creepy episode. He said it's super dark, the constant phone ringing, and Jack's guilt and despair the entire episode. When Annie first brings the box of Mr. Applebaum's things, Jack looks genuinely freaked out, and it sets the tone for the entire episode. Chills.
Creepiest Scenes, he says Annie fainting in her old age, and Jack's creepy smile and carnival over the burning crystal ball.
Yeah, he does look really creepy. That makeup was horrible, though.
Yes, watching it on Disney Plus, you can see the fake eyebrows and like the glue holding them on.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
May have to watch that one. I haven't watched any of season 3 yet on Disney Plus, but
no,
I may have to watch.
Either.
I may have to watch that episode just for that scene.
Yes.
So next question is, who is the scariest villain for you guys? And that one is actually kind of hard to think of because there's not that many villains in the show.
Well, I guess I'll start. I would probably say, the Banshee is the villain, the quote unquote villain that kind of scared me the most as a kid. Again, I don't know if scared is the right term, but she's pretty spooky. She's pretty intimidating. As far as the one-off antagonists go, she was definitely one of the more serious business ones, I would say.
Yeah, I had a little trouble thinking about this too, and thinking back about how they had a marathon and they did a poll of the top 10 creepiest villains, and so weird. I'm trying to imagine what those 10 villains were. But anyway, I guess I have to go with Brie Crew. I mean, that's like, I don't know, I feel like that's going to be a lot of people's answer because he comes back several times during the show. And Patrick Levis's portrayal of Brie Crew definitely creeped me out. I think part of that, the whole concept of possession to me as a kid and as an adult is pretty creepy. So I have to say that him possessing Jack makes him probably the creepiest villain.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Brickery you bring up there. For me, especially in the second episode where he possesses Molly, is more scary than the first one due to the fact that he leaves Fee and Molly inside a burning warehouse.
It's Brickery, same as everyone else. I think because he's like reoccurring, he comes back again, so he has like an agenda. And yeah, leaving them in the burning building is kind of like, I think, one of the worst things that a villain has done on the show. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also going to give a random shout out to the guy that was in Listen that that ran the farm for his mom, who drove the tractor around and like was gonna mow Fee down or something. I don't know why, but as a kid, that scene of him like speaking to her telepathically or whatever, it creeped me out. So
I just rewatched that episode.
Really? Yeah.
For my scariest villain, I still think it's Pete slash like the ghost boy slash the journalist from Fall, just because I still don't understand, like, what are you getting at? Why do you want your friends dead? I still don't get it.
For my creepiest villain, not really a villain, but it's the angel. But then if we're asking for like a real villain, I would say Brickery, just because I don't think this is actually planned, but I just keep on imagining an episode where he takes Fee over. And I'm like, how the fuck is that gonna go down?
Yeah, that wasn't planned, just to make sure people know it wasn't planned, but I can see why you would imagine that happening.
Yeah.
That'd be creepy. Yeah.
While we're also on the topic of villains, I feel like we have to mention the worst villain on the show, which is hands down the great Encanto, the magician from season 3. He was an awful villain. He felt like a Goosebumps character. I don't like him at all. And he's a shame to villains everywhere.
No shout outs to the changeling baby or Molly's fish boyfriend, whose name I can't even remember right
now.
Yeah, that guy.
Wow. I mean, is he the creepiest villain or the biggest creep? I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on how you define creepy, I guess.
Yeah, he's terrible.
What about the aliens in Earth 101?
Oh my god, no. They do not
most
exist.
annoying.
That episode
most
never
annoying
happens.
Right, yeah.
Oh. I still remember liking that episode a little bit better than you all.
But I definitely recall, I think it was Kat who said the changeling baby needed to be set on fire or something. Was that you?
Yeah, I don't watch that episode on Disney Plus. I did because I was watching every episode and I'm like, I got nightmares just having to deal with that baby.
Well, I thought you meant don't watch it because you can see like the strings moving it or whatever now.
Now I kind of want to watch it just to see if you can.
Yeah, probably.
Nobody asked for that to be in HD, but we got it.
Alright, so Jimmy answered the three-headed demon from Twin who still haunts his dreams, and he also gave a shout out to the old man, Mr. Patterson, that tempted Fee in Strange Geometry because he always creeped him out for some reason.
Yeah, he was a little creepy.
Yeah, I remember an old episode of Strange Geometry, like an old rip of it was on YouTube, and it was part of the creepiest villains list, and it listed the architect as one of the top 10 villains, but I don't remember what position he was in. So,
I remember that, Emily, because the bootleg set that I have of the show that I would watch when I would rewatch it, is that Rip?
So yeah, what other media would we recommend? So Weird fans. For me, I would say The Haunting of Hill House. And I think it's only a few episodes, but I feel like that's one of the few things that's horror that actually has good writing and is a good story overall. And I just can't recommend that one enough.
I was going to mention that one too, Kathy. And actually, I think it's been out for 2 years now, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the second season just started.
Yeah, the second season premieres tonight, I think. So I was going to recommend that one because I rewatched it recently. I loved it the first time, and I still really enjoyed it the second time. And it just gave me so many Medium vibes from So Weird. I mean, if you love Medium, the Medium episode, The Haunting of Hill House is very much in line with Medium and the idea of being haunted by someone, like metaphorically and literally at the same time, and what happened to you so many years ago. Yeah, and that family, they've got so many issues, and the Phillips family has so many issues related to that grief that they have. So yeah, definitely that's the one I was going to recommend too.
Yeah. For recommendations, I actually have a few. One is Halloween Town because it was also written by John Cooksey and Ali Marie Matheson, so it is awesome by default. It has so many parallels between that and So Weird, and I don't know if that was done purposely, accidentally, or what, but yeah, it's fun. I would also recommend Hocus Pocus, just because it's another fun, family-friendly Halloween theme with not scary. It's really funny, but I can't imagine So Weird fans not being into that as well. And as for a TV show, I think I would say Ghost Whisperer. I actually got into it because Kara is in an episode in the first season, and I've been stuck on it ever since. I've watched all the seasons. It's good pretty much throughout, and I just recommend that if anybody does watch it, have plenty of tissue boxes. It is so sad.
Well, this was a question that I thought a lot about because, So Weird is kind of a unique show because it has this family element about the family and that it's family friendly, and it has a music element, and then it's a horror show, but it's also not like really horror. It's more of a supernatural, quote unquote, real mystery kind of investigation thing. So, a couple of suggestions I have, and most of these are movies because I don't watch a lot of television, but a movie called Ginger Snaps. If you like werewolves, it's kind of about two young sisters and one of them becomes a werewolf, and that sort of has the element of teenage girl investigating weird mystery stuff, though that is, that's an R-rated movie, so it's not for the family. Something that's a little more family friendly, though, is also from the 80s, so it's super offensive in a lot of ways, is a movie called The Monster Squad, which, if you like Stranger Things and you like kids on bikes, you'll like Monster Squad. It's a group of, 4 or 5 boys, and they're, in the 10 to 12 period, and they're tussling with the classic monsters, Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Scrooge from the Black Lagoon, etc. That's a movie I love. That's a movie I grew up watching. As for an element that I think would appeal to people who like the paranormal mystery side of So Weird is a very obscure TV show that ran for 3 seasons on Animal Planet. It's called Lost Tapes, and it is a found footage anthology horror series with a cryptozoology theme. Every episode is a different found footage premise with a different cryptozoological entity. So Bigfoot, Mothman, Owlman, sea monsters. They did some really deep cuts, and that show, it's actually terrible. It's not a good show. The whole thing, it's very poorly written, but it is such a curio because I don't think there are any other cryptozoology themed found footage anthology series that aired on Animal Planet. It is such a weird, one of a kind series, even though it's not very good. But if you are interested in that kind of esoteric, quasi supernatural mystery stuff that isn't so weird, you may enjoy Lost Tapes. But that kind of stuff, yeah, is what I would recommend.
Nice. I've got 3 recommended hidden gems that if you're a fan of So Weird, definitely check out. My first one is a TV show that I've mentioned here before, Strange Days at Blake Holsey High, also known as Black Hole High. It's kind of a supernatural / sci-fi theme centered on a bunch of teenagers at their boarding school where weird things happen every week. So it's a monster of the week type of show that was also executive produced by Henry Winkler, same as So Weird. And if you grew up watching Disney Channel, you'll recognize Michael Cedar and Shadia Simmons because they also star in this as well as in Life with Derek. It's such a great series, and even though it was cut short, the writers were able to develop a little TV movie for the end of it, so the ending is so much more satisfying than the conclusion we got to So Weird. And all the episodes are available on YouTube, so you can catch up on that for free. My second recommendation is a made-for-TV movie that I saw when I was a kid that absolutely scared the shit out of me. And then I went back and rewatched it as an adult and found out that it was actually hilarious. It's the TV movie When Good Ghouls Go Bad, which stars Christopher Lloyd and is also available on YouTube. This is one about a town where they don't celebrate Halloween, similar to Boo and So Weird, where the creepy kid in town, Curtis Danko, has been killed in a mysterious accident, and he left a warning to the town saying that if you ever have another Halloween again, I will return and destroy you all. The kid was buried in a locked crypt along with a sculpture so evil that unearthly fates were said to await anyone who looked at it. And now 20 years later, the Walker men have returned to Walker Falls and start a chain of events that unleashes an army of zombies across the town. So that one was actually written by R.L. Stine. So if you're a fan of So Weird, you're a fan of Goosebumps, definitely check it out. And my third recommendation came out the same year as Hocus Pocus, but doesn't get nearly as much love. Double Double Toil and Trouble. You might remember it as that cute Olsen twins movie, but even if you're not into the Olsen twins, it's such a good Halloween movie. Like, I'm a sucker for Halloween movies that actually take place on Halloween, so it's about the holiday itself. And it always reminds me of the episode Twin because it has a storyline about the Olsen twins playing 2 sisters that find out that their rich aunt is a witch who had trapped her own twin inside of a mirror, and they have to break the spell and try to free her and save their family. It's such a good movie. It has its creepy moments, and it's just such a fantastic film to watch around Halloween.
And, Olsen twins do have a connection to So Weird with Kara and Gimme Pizza. So, there you go.
There's one other thing I wanted to mention. I kind of forgot to mention it, but I just thought of it. It's very random, but it's perfect to watch during this season, is the Scooby-Doo Project, which is kind of like...
Oh, yes.
The description is like the Scooby-Doo Project is a Halloween special that aired during Cartoon Network's Scooby-Doo Where Are You Marathon in 1999. And it's kind of like a parody of the Blair Witch Project. And they use found footage mixed in with the cartoon drawings of the Scooby-Doo gang. And it's just odd. And I don't think they aired it much. Either they aired it once or they just aired it a few times. But that's kind of something I discovered 2 years ago. And I thought it was so cool.
Agree.
Yes.
That is so good.
Yeah, I love the Scooby-Doo Project. That thing's hilarious.
That also reminds me of an episode of S Club 7 in LA. That was a TV show around the 2000s too. And they had this one
Club
episode.
7, oh my
yes,
god.
They had this one episode where they're in the woods and it's like a Blair Witch Project type of thing. And it is a fantastic episode. It scared the crap out of me when I was a kid because it was creepy and they were all scared. But it's a really good episode.
All right, well, if we're recommending retro found footage things, I have one more recommendation. It's a British television production from the either early 90s or late 1980s. It's called Ghost Watch. And the thing that makes this show fantastic, well, it's a feature film, but what makes it fantastic is it's presented as if it is a real regular television broadcast with television personalities from the time. And when it aired, people thought it was real, and it actually scared a lot of people because the whole premise of the film is that the ghost is coming through the television and is attacking people in the audience. So this actually caused kind of a minor mass hysteria in the UK when it aired, and it's fantastic. I highly recommend Ghost Watch, and if you like spooky stuff, if you like kind of retro stuff, it has very little in common with So Weird, but it gives me a lot of the same vibes. But it is actually very scary, and it's set on Halloween. So if you like found footage, haunting, retro stuff, highly recommend Ghost Watch. It used to be on Amazon Prime. I don't know if it's still on there or not.
Yeah, so Jimmy, he brought up that a lot of the So Weird actors, or, a lot of the So Weird actors have been in horror films, and he, in particular, mentioned Alex Johnson. She was in Devil's Diary. You can watch her for free on YouTube. And Stranger with My Face and Final Destination 3 and The Wasting, he thought were also good. The Witches, I guess, is not Alex Johnson, but it's coming out October 22nd on HBO Max.
The remake, yeah.
Yeah, the new Witches with Anne Hathaway, yeah.
Oh, okay. And The Craft Legacy is coming out October 28th, and it'll be available through most major digital retailers. So I haven't seen anything on that one either, but...
The original The Craft is also a lot of fun. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
I do love that one. Mm-hmm.
If you like Hocus Pocus, The Craft is like Hocus Pocus is for kids. The Craft is for teenage girls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Do you
great.
want to talk about Boo at all?
What else is there to say?
I don't know. I want to defend it a little. Because I feel like most, kid shows that do a holiday, especially Halloween episode, it's like you're not really gonna take that episode that seriously. So I feel like that's what So Weird did as well. So
Yeah.
I think like for fun, it's like, okay, you can watch it for fun. And I guess we as like fans of the storyline, it's like, no, we want storyline.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we're like, but
I think it's fun for what it is. Like, it was an interesting take on Halloween that I don't think I've ever seen anywhere else, to dig into the origins of Saiwan, or however you say it.
Samhain.
Samhain, thank you. And, like, to see that Fee hates Halloween because she sees it as making fun of the things that she's trying to get people to take seriously was really cool. Like, Carrie as a makeup artist is something I'm totally here for.
Well, I'm not crazy about the episode. I feel like I've said enough in the actual episode review, but it still is kind of weird and confusing to me. And but I do, we had mentioned just chatting recently that they have this Halloween collection on Disney Plus, and they have a section for Disney Channel Halloween episodes, and Boo was not included in that collection.
Yeah.
And I can understand why people might be a little annoyed about that, but part of me is like, you know what? I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because if people's first introduction to So Weird was that episode, I'd really hate that. Yeah, and there are other better creepy episodes that could be included in that collection, I guess. So
Yeah. Plus,
yeah.
I think it probably wasn't included in the episodes, just because the whole show was included in the other section.
Yeah, but also for some reason, I don't know. It's like So Weird isn't considered a Disney Channel show again on Disney Plus. They removed it from the Disney Channel collection. So I don't know what's going on with that, but that's beside the point. But so that's why I also think it wasn't included in the Disney Channel collection, because they aren't considering it a Disney Channel show right now. Who knows?
Yeah.
I guess because it was in
Weird.
the era of Zoog Disney before the Disney Channel became like the brand itself.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It's just odd because it wasn't in the Disney Channel collection, and they put it in the Disney Channel collection, and then they came out with this throwback collection, so they put So Weird in the throwback collection. And then I guess they decided, well, we can remove it from the Disney Channel collection now because it doesn't really fit. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, Emily, you always find something new to complain about Disney Plus. And it's like, we have the show. Like, the show is out there now. They can't hurt us anymore.
But they do. They still find a way.
Just wait, because if they come out with a collection of Thanksgiving Day episodes and they put Earth 101 in there, like, I will scream.
Yeah, but if they put out Christmas episodes and they included Fountain, I would be okay with that.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
but anyway,
I do want to mention that Henry Winkler is in that Boo episode. Like, he's the executive producer and appears in that one episode, and he's his kooky self, like he is in a lot of his roles.
That is like the one really notable thing about Boo.
Yeah.
So, fan time now.
Oh boy.
Yay, fan time!
We asked fans to send in some videos answering basically the same topics that we talked about today. And we had quite a number of people that participated, so it's pretty awesome.
Hey, So Weird Podcast, it's Neil.
Hi everyone, my name's Melissa.
I'm Sasha Mullen.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Hello there, it is spooky season.
I saw Prom, I saw Halloween, I said yes. How could you not?
I've been a So Weird fan for many, many years, and it's great to see a whole community of other fans, and I'm excited for this Halloween special.
Super into Halloween, love me some Samhain, it's all good.
Let's get to it. Question 1. What is the scariest episode So Weird?
I would say that the scariest episode for me was probably Strange Geometry.
For me, definitely Strange Geometry.
Strange Geometry, in my opinion.
The reason for it is probably because of the whole premise behind that particular episode. You had that feeling, just for me, right from the beginning, that something was completely off about that building. I remember watching that episode and just getting creeped out by the interior of the building alone.
I remember being so creeped out by the whole concept of the portal in that old building where Molly was shooting a music video. I just found the whole concept, the whole episode just really haunting and intriguing, but definitely creepy.
I think that season 1, episode 12, Lost, is the scariest. Why? Because she's lost in her own mind, which is honestly like the scariest thing. I feel like being trapped in your own head. Like, that was when I first watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, how is she gonna get out? Like, what's happening, you know? And then of course, you know, Fee's investigating because, you know, she won't stop. You know, when she finds something weird, she's like, I'm gonna figure it out. That's what we love about this show.
Scariest episode for me, season 2, episode 28, Destiny, where we see Recruit, the Will-o'-the-Wisp, come back and take over Molly. So that one was pretty scary for me, seeing Molly's mannerisms, of course, with Recruit taking over her body.
For me, it is the episode Troll from season 2. Now, I know you might be thinking, really? That one? Yes, really. That episode terrified me as a kid. While I watched it recently, yeah, admittedly, it's not as scary as it once was when I was a small child. It's still unsettling, without a doubt.
In terms of the scariest episode, I could have gone a more blatantly supernatural route, or gone a kind of snarky route and thrown season 3 under the bus. like, oh, that's pretty scary. But I decided to actually go with a more sincere angle about well-being. And there's a lot of that in the show about just trying to feel safe and trying to feel validated and trying to feel taken care of, and how darker problems get manifested through something else, whether it's Molly's own eluded self-destruction, or it's in something like Tulpa where you have this psychic manifestation of your own abuse, or in Transplant where your spirit is being modded onto something else against your will. And so I surprised myself when I actually decided to pick Roswell. You know, I mean, this poor man is othered and he never got a chance to grow up. His whole childhood was stunted and paralyzed because he stopped being able to move forward because he wasn't allowed to. And other people are blaming him for being crazy, and in reality, all he wants is to feel loved and safe with his sister, and to understand what the heck is going on with that metal quadrilateral talking at him. But yeah, I think that that's the scariest because it's the most blatantly human moment. And there are a lot of those, but I think that one really speaks to me in a sense of wanting people to feel taken care of. And, I think that that's something that lives with me. A lot of images from that episode.
So next we have the top 2 creepy scenes. Now for me, I feel like the ghost from season 1.
The scene in Family Reunion where Fee sees the ghost of the little boy who drowned in the Eastland disaster for the first time. That shot down the hallway, that was really creepy.
Like when Fee spills her drink and like the ghost appears, like I was like, what?
The Banshee episode where the Banshee is hovering over the grandpa and when the Banshee takes Fiona into the woods by herself.
I'm gonna say when Fee walked through the forest and came across the Banshee.
Especially in that scene where Fee and Banshee are yelling at each other, where really Fee's yelling at Banshee to find out why her father passed away, to see it was the Banshee's fault, and how Banshee was speaking was very creepy.
It was not we who took him.
There's a lot of strange geometry that is pretty unnerving. Like, you're like, oh dang it, what is this? What is this weird building? Definitely stumbling on something that shouldn't be there. That's kind of terrifying.
As that episode progressed, it kind of gets into what I think is probably one of the scariest scenes, and it's with the faces protruding from the wall.
And the whole episode of Dead Ringer from season 3 was creepy, but particularly the scene where they go into the house, to Mr. Applebaum's house, and the suspense was building. I remember feeling really creeped out from that. So that's one of the 2 creepiest scenes, I think.
I do often get unnerved when I think back to the climax scene of Twin with the building.
Where we see Fiona get trapped on the balcony by herself, and she sees the evil spirits emerge from the wall.
Where we see that 3-headed ghoul emerge from the wall, fly towards Fee, and nearly knocks her off the rooftop to her death. Oh geez, that is just a terrifying sight. In the visual and the action, and the fact that we still don't know what that was just makes it all the more unnerving for me as a viewer.
Not comforting. It's not comforting to think about.
When Fee's dad saved her from falling in the season 2 finale, the reason I find that creepy is because he did come back as a spirit to save her, and especially in the original ending that was written that he was supposed to go to hell, that would have been such a scary thing to see.
If only we got answers.
Also, the troll, honestly, is really creepy, turning, people into vegetables, like, what?
It's really any moment where we see the characters as vegetables. It's just so creepy, seeing their faces carved into these vegetables, and they look so helpless, and you're like, what is going on here? But yeah, that's just a visual you cannot get out of your mind once you've seen it.
And then Andy's encounter with the mummy and Meow.
Okay. It's not what it looks like. I was just trying to help you two, okay? I'm just trying to help you guys stay together. I really am.
For another scary, creepy scene, I would also include the werewolf episode, especially when Carrie gets locked into the bus. That feeling that you get, him being alone, being vulnerable, just evokes an emotion that can't be by anything else. For the scariest villain, creepiest villain, I would say it's Brickaroo.
Definitely Brickaroo.
So for me, the scariest villain is Will-O-the-Wisp.
For me, for sure, the Will-O-the-Wisp Brickaroo.
Because even though that he's like tiny, it's like this little light thing. He possesses Molly and Jack. It's like, I don't want to be possessed, you know what I mean?
This is a villain that has a capability to possess anyone that he pleases. Season 1, he possesses Jack. In Season 2, Molly. It's that very reason that makes him the scariest, the creepiest one, because he's got that power to do something like that.
So I feel like that's scary, that's what I don't like.
And it was even extra scary for me because we see him in that first one of the Will-O-the-Wisp, and it's actually based out of the Marfa Lights. And I'm actually from Texas and been to Marfa plenty of times and actually have lots of family there. So that made it a little bit more scary for me, but the dude was pretty scary.
But I guess that we did end up getting Berku's version of Into the Darkness, so that's pretty cool.
So for me, the scariest, so weird episode and the creepiest villain, both are going to go to the Banshee.
Scariest villain, once again, Banshee.
I feel the Banshee was a really well-written character, well-written villain.
As that wail is the creepiest sound throughout the series. I watched that episode again during summer, and it scares me as much today as it did as a kid.
I would have to go with the merman from the episode Fathom. I don't remember his name, but that's beside the point.
I guess the creepiest villain is Lol. I don't know if that needs explanation. That's just how it is. I don't make the rules.
The point is, he's creepy. Not because he's a merman, but because he wanted to take away Molly from her own children to keep for himself.
But I can't just leave my children.
Molly, I need you now. I won't let them come between us.
No! You can't ask me that, Lau. I don't even want you to ask me that.
Molly, you and I, we don't have to be alone anymore.
If you were to air an episode like that on the Disney Channel today, it would get so much backlash. It just does not fly in the era of the Me Too movement. It just, no.
And for other media that I'd recommend So Weird fans to watch,
I'd recommend So Weird fans to watch Evermore. This is a British show from Disney Channel UK. It's similar to So Weird, but in a lot of ways it's not. It's more fantasy than sci-fi, and it's about Tara, who returned to the UK, and she finds all this weird stuff happening like Fee does. So I'd recommend it. Also, just know that Evermore is the pilot, while the Evermore Chronicles is the actual show. Season 1 is my favorite season from the show. And Season 2 is a bit strange because Tara's not in the show. Kind of like how Fee left So Weird. But this, for me, it's not as jarring because she fulfills what she needs to do. So, but anyway, yeah, watch it during spooky season.
I'm actually going to change this up a little bit. I would actually recommend reading Bentley Little. He's a really good horror writer. I absolutely like his stuff. But in terms of watching something, The Exorcist, Poltergeist, anything really paranormal. Another one that comes to mind is The Evil Dead. Watch that. Paranormal Activity. I'm a huge horror fan, so I have So Weird to thank for that. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend. Plus a book recommendation. So
a media that I would recommend to So Weird fans would be the Boulet Brothers Dragula. It's a queer show about the Boulet brothers trying to find the next drag super monster. That show is really awesome to watch. It really goes over the gothy punk horror type of drag. And seasons 1's on YouTube, 2 and 3 on Netflix, and the Resurrection / All-Star season is going to be on Shudder this month on the 20th. It's not really a season, it's more like a 2-hour movie. and I really think So Weird fans would love the Boulet Brothers Dracula.
And for other media, there was a movie I recently watched on Hulu called Body at Brighton Rock. It's about a park ranger who comes across a crime scene and she has to stay there overnight and she finds herself hallucinating. There's no CGI in this movie, no gore. It's really true form of classic horror. So if you like So Weird, I think you'll really enjoy this movie.
I really love a show. It came out around the same time as So Weird. It's called Mysterious Ways. It reminds me of So Weird a lot, and it's really, really great. It's about an anthropology professor who investigates mysterious phenomena, so definitely up our alley. Also, Alfred Hitchcock Presents and The Twilight Zone, the original series, are also really great.
And other media that I recommend, of course, all the original DCOMs, the Halloween ones, of course, now that we're in October. So Twitches, Mom's Got a Day with a Vampire, Don't Look Under the Bed, classic one, and all the Halloween Towns. The other one that was one of my favorites, and it kind of goes in with that whole So Weird X-Files era, would be the Tower of Terror. So based out of the hotel that we see in Walt Disney World at Hollywood Studios. Unfortunately, it's not on Disney Plus. I'm sure you could find it somewhere else. I believe it came out in 1998. Since it's not like a true DCOM, that's why it's not on Disney Plus. Trust me, I've looked for it and as to why it's not on there, because it was produced by Wonderful World of Disney. But that one is definitely a must-watch if you like the So Weird paranormal era.
I want to shine spotlight on a short film called Mo'o. Mo'o is about two cousins, Kikoa and Nika. Kikoa, a rebellious teenager, has just lost his mother and is not really taking the proper time to grieve. His younger cousin Nika, is dragging him out of the house into the night on a walk to look for spirits and signs of the afterlife. Thematically, topically, it is so reminiscent of So Weird when I saw it at the Hawaii International Film Festival last year. And I know that if other So Weird fans watch it too, I'm pretty sure they would draw to the same conclusion. Mo'o can be viewed this month as part of the virtual film festivals, the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival, and CamFest Forward. Again, it's called Mo'o from the director Anna Lane.
And as for another piece of media, I don't think you can go wrong with Hocus Pocus. It's always my go-to. Although I don't think anyone here really needs anybody to be told to watch that. But I'm going to tell you should watch Hocus Pocus.
And that just about does it. Thank you.
And that's all for now. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks.
Anyway, I hope that everyone stays safe and, circumstances given, are able to have a good Halloween. Take care.
So that's it. Keep the faith.
Wow, what a thoughtful response.
Thank you, everyone that participated. Melissa, Raquel, Sasha, Noel, Lauren, Billy, Derek, and Neil. We had way more than I thought we were going to get, so it's really cool seeing you guys and hearing from you guys.
So, Sasha, when we saw your video and we saw you pop up, we were wondering how you made that shirt.
And where can we get it? How much do you want to be paid for it?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone noticed the Phillips Cane Band logo. It's awesome. Yeah, I need it in my life. So thank you, Sasha.
Same.
I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name every other time I've mentioned you on the show.
Yeah, I also really love the shout out for Evermore, because isn't that the one that they were airing on Disney Channel in October one year and we were all freaked out like, oh my God, Supernatural's coming back to Disney. And then I just never watched it. So this is a good reminder for me to get on that.
It's always nice to hear someone else dragging Lal too. So.
Yes.
That made me happy.
Just before we started recording, I said to Emily that we've been doing this for over 4 years, and it's just crazy to me that people have stuck with the show this whole time, and it's so flattering and touching that this little podcast we've done has connected with people. So that's really cool. Thanks so much to everybody who contributed.
It's also so cool just to see the community keep growing as more and more people get into the show since it's finally on Disney Plus.
And especially at this time, it's really good to hear from other people and connect with other people who care about So Weird as much as I do. So thank you all for sharing your thoughts about the show. I appreciate it. So since we last recorded, I actually commissioned a piece of So Weird fan art. I think I've talked about it on the show, on the podcast several times, that we just don't have enough fan art of So Weird. And I finally found someone who agreed to make me some So Weird fan art. And I am so grateful for that. The artist is on Instagram. Their username is AESIRLY. And I just wanted to, since we're doing a video, I wanted to go ahead and show it to you all. So, again, not the best camera or not the best lighting, but there's pictures all over our social media of it anyway. But if you didn't know about it, but this is basically a portrait of Fee, an oil painting of Fee from the ending of Rebecca, when she's listening to Molly sing the song. And it's just one of my favorite So Weird moments. And Fee is one of my favorite So Weird. I mean, she's one of my favorite characters of any TV show. So I'm just so grateful to have this. And honestly, it really brightened up my life once I got it. I was so happy. The process of, getting it completed and working with her was just wonderful. So I would highly recommend her. Her name is Mel, and I believe it's Melanie. Again, her Instagram is AESIRLY. Wonderful, wonderful artist, wonderful work. I'm so pleased with it. I had to give a plug. I've just
She's done Jack's fan art too, which is really
yes. That's what drew me to it. Is she did a piece of Jack art, and it was stunning. So I'm so pleased. And so that's another plug, guys. Now is the time to make your So Weird fan art, So Weird fan fiction. So Weird fans are popping up out of the woodwork. So yeah.
We live yet. The fandom will never die.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's it now.
All right. This has been a very special, very spooky, scary episode of the So Weird podcast. As always, thanks so much to everybody who contributed. Thanks so much to everybody listening and watching to this broadcast, the sound of our voices at this very moment. As always, I am Zach.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Emily.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Kat.
And keep the faith, and thank you for listening.
And watch lots of So Weird this Halloween.
Yes, and have a spooky Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween. Bye.
Oh my god, he has a Phillips Cane Band shirt.
What the hell?
Where did he get that, and where can I get one?
Probably Redbubble. There's other stores with other...
I think he made it for himself.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, how much can I pay him for one?
Yeah, okay, we're going to talk about this. Here we go.
Yes,
All right.
I think Sasha's my new favorite person.